One of my favorite authors, speakers, thinkers, writers, encouragers is John Maxwell. I don't know how many books John Maxwell has written on leadership, personal development, personal growth, encouragement. He's done it for a lot of years, and he's a great teacher, and I enjoy reading his books and listening to him speak. Never met him. Someday I would like to hope to get to meet him. He talks a lot about personal development. And I read an article recently that he wrote on your path for personal development. And he says, in order to reach your full potential, and most of us don't even operate anywhere near our full potential. But he said, in order to reach your full potential, you need to create a personal growth plan. Now, in business, if you own a business or you're in business and you're on a team, right, in a department, you probably do a strategic plan. Maybe once a year you do a strategic plan, or you review it every 3 years, every 5 years, whatever it might be. We create a marketing plan. We create a sales plan. We create a funding plan if you're a nonprofit organization. We're good at creating these plans to follow, to put into practice, to achieve what we want to achieve. But what about your own personal growth? Your own personal development? You can't do more, you can't be a bigger, better person until you become more, until you grow yourself personally. So I'm going to talk about the kind of the steps and the items he talked about in this article. He said growth is not automatic. It doesn't happen automatically. It's like when I plant my garden, I put that seed in the ground, and without the warmth of the soil, without the moisture in the ground and the nutrients in the soil, that seed won't sprout, it won't grow. And if those nutrients and moisture aren't there, it will soon wither and die. It doesn't happen just automatically. There are things that have to occur to make it happen. You hold that seed out here in your hand, you can hold it for forever and it won't probably do a thing until you put it in the right environment that encourages the growth, that gives it the nutrients to growth. And that's what your own personal development is. It's providing the nutrients you need within yourself to grow and to be a bigger person. In order to do that, since it doesn't happen automatically, you need to plan it. So we're talking about creating a personal growth plan. You need to schedule it, such as reading every day. One of the best things you can do is read on a topic that you're trying to grow in, get more skills, get more knowledge. Read every day. I read every morning. I set aside that time first thing in the morning. I read for a little bit in the Bible, and then I read whatever book. And today I'm reading Senator Ted Cruz's book, Just One Vote Away or something like that. It's a very good book. You should read it. But you need to set aside the time for your own personal growth, whatever that is. Maybe it's first thing in the morning. Maybe it's in the middle of the afternoon. Maybe it's in the evening before you go to bed. Set aside the time. Be dedicated to it and do it every day. The next thing you need to realize is that growth separates the people who succeed from the people who don't. You can plant 2 plants. Let's say you plant 2 rose bushes. And in one, you just leave it and let it grow. Yeah, you give it some water and let it grow. In the other, you give it nutrients. You give it some fertilizer. You give it some encouragement to grow. You put that fertilizer in the ground, and you will quickly see that the one with the fertilizer that has the more development going into it grows a lot faster and will put on blooms that are even more vibrant and larger than the one that doesn't receive those nutrients. Successful people are serious about their personal development. They don't just leave it to chance. They don't just say, well, yeah, maybe it'll happen. I'll get it along the way. No, they're intentional about their growth. They make a plan. They are intentional about how they make this happen, and that they schedule their time and that they make it happen. Third, he says, growth takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. And we should use the time that we've spent in our lives, and we should use the lessons that we've learned in our business, in our work, in our careers, in our community involvement, in our just life experiences to our advantage. That's part of our personal growth, is to take those experiences we've had and learn from them, and to continue to grow because of those experiences that we've had and the lessons that we've learned. And then the next, the more you grow, the more you know that you need to grow. You know, it's interesting, my tomato plants that I've been growing in pots this summer on my porch, my tomato plants, the more they grow, the more they know they need to grow, because they'll put on that sucker between, you know, where the leaf comes off the stem. They'll put that sucker up because it knows it needs to grow more plant. And so the bigger it gets, the more suckers it's going to put on. A successful person knows that the more that they grow, the more that they know that they need to grow, that they need to keep growing. They realize that they don't know as much as they thought they did, and they need to keep finding the answers and getting more information. It's a process that has no end. You don't get someday and just stop growing. You keep growing. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you still need to learn. That's the way most scientists are. They head off down a road trying to solve a problem, and the farther they get down that road, they find out that there is so much more about that problem they didn't even know they didn't know. And so they know that they need to keep growing. And that's the way it is in business. When you build a business, you learn new processes, you learn new skills, you learn new avenues to market, and you realize that there is so much more you didn't know about it that you have to keep learning, you have to keep growing. Next, he says, growth equates change. I'm talking about John Maxwell. If you ever get a chance to read his books, you should read his books. He says, growth equals change. You know, growth requires you to push beyond your comfort zone. If you're staying within your little box, within your little comfort zone, and you know you don't want to get out of it because you don't want to tick anybody off, or you don't want to feel uncomfortable, or it might stretch you a little bit, you're not going to grow, you're not going to get anywhere. It requires you to push beyond that. The old concept of thinking outside the box, that's getting out of your comfort zone. That's moving outside of what you even know to consider new ideas. Yeah, it's easier to stay where you are. It's easier to live in the life that's comfortable, but at the end of the day, what do you get? If you're not growing, you're dying, truly. You're going backwards. You learn the most when you're uncomfortable. When you're the most uncomfortable, that's when you learn. When things get really, really hard, that's when you learn the biggest lessons. So growth is all a part of change. It requires change. As you change, you are growing. You are becoming a bigger, better person. And next, he says growth inside. When you start growing inside yourself, your own belief, your own confidence, your own knowledge, your own skills, your own attitude, your own mindset, when you're growing that, then people on the outside will see you differently. You grow on the outside because everything within you has changed. Take a seed, take a bean seed sometime, wrap it up in a damp paper towel, and just watch what happens. As it starts to germinate, that seed begins to swell. That seed gets bigger on the inside before it ever puts that shoot out on the outside. That's how we are when we grow inside of us, when we grow in our knowledge and our skills, our confidence, our abilities. We grow on the inside, and then it starts to show outwardly. It starts with small internal changes. Take small steps. Don't take big steps, take small steps. It eventually will create these big outward changes that other people will see and recognize and ask you to do more and to take on more responsibility. But as part of your plan, you need to plan for patience and discipline, because growth takes time. Growth takes discipline. You got to do it every single day, whatever that is. Take these small steps and do it every single day. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes discipline to get there. And it requires a forward-looking focus. You can't be always looking to see where you've been and what you've done. That's in the past. You can't change it. You can't do anything about it. Too bad, so sad, it's gone. But what's in front of you is still yet to come. And you get to decide what that's going to look like. You get to decide where you're going. You get to decide the path you're going to take. Growth in your business, growth in your job, growth in your community requires you to get bigger. In other words, you need to have bigger ideas. You need to have bigger knowledge. You need to have bigger belief. You need to have bigger confidence. If you want to grow, you've got to get bigger. Don't focus so long on what you've achieved in the past. That's great and that's fine, but if you live there, then you'll end up being stuck in that spot. Recognize where you've been and what you've achieved. Enjoy that. Acknowledge that. And then move on. You should want to be bigger and better tomorrow than you are today. I've talked a lot about the 1%. Just do 1% more today than you did yesterday. And tomorrow, do 1% more tomorrow than you're going to do today. Over time, you'll be so farther down the road. You'll have so much more knowledge. You'll have so much more skills. You'll be such a bigger person because you've grown a little bit every single day. Watch a tree grow. You can't see a tree grow, but it grows a little bit every single day. And eventually it's like, oh my goodness, I remember when I planted that tree. It was only 10 feet tall. Now this tree over here is, 20 feet tall. And it's been about 9 or 10 years. You should want to be bigger and better tomorrow than you are today. Learn from today so that you can be better tomorrow. That's what today's for. Learn from today so you can be better tomorrow. And the beauty of all this is you get to decide where you need to grow. Don't let anybody else decide for you. Don't let anybody else say, I think you should do this. No, it should be up to you. What's your passion? What do you want to do? What energizes you? What excites you? What gets your juices flowing? You get to decide where in your life you need to grow. I would suggest you find your area of strength, what you're good at, what people recognize you're good at, and grow in that area. Or start there. Because that's your strength. It's easy to grow in that. That's something you're interested in, something you're excited about. You need to master the area of your life where you're the strongest. It will get you so much farther ahead if that's where you start. If you start with something you don't even know, you don't know how to do, you have no experience in, it can be exciting for a while, but you're going to get tired and you're going to go, what's the use? I can't get this. I don't know how to do this. And you'll give up. But if you start and master the areas where you're the strongest, where you already have strength, it'll get you so much farther down that road. So target your strengths. Start there. That's the best place to start. Only you are responsible for your growth and your development. No one else. Not your coworker, not your boss, not your customers, not your mayor, not your governor, not your president, not your spouse, not your kids. Only you are responsible for your growth and your development. So my question to you today with this is Saturday survival. So how are you going to survive your future? Are you going to choose to grow personally? Or are you going to be stuck in that box that you've put yourself in, afraid to get out of it, but wanting so much more in your life? And you're frustrated because you're afraid to step out, but you want so much more. You've got this great idea, this great dream. You have this vision of how you want your life to go, but you're afraid. Start on yourself. Start inside. Start inside here. Start inside here. And grow yourself. And then you'll start to see opportunities just interestingly appear in front of you to get you where you want to go. This is your Saturday Survival. I'm Mark Schooner, sitting on the porch. It's really cold today. It's like 40 degrees this morning. It's going to be a beautiful day here in New Mexico. I hope you guys have a great Saturday. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you tomorrow.